I love the executive
That part, to the right of it.
I call this meeting to order at 9:30. Present is Vice President William Link, Treasurer Deborah Isaacs, Director Dan Sullivan, and myself constituting a quorum. Also present are Mr. Philip Garcia, Acting Executive Officer, Ms. Christina Rodriguez, Executive Secretary. Please rise to the invocation given by Mrs. Ann Barron and remain standing for the reciting of the pledge to the United States and Texas flags.
Father, we come to you in the name of Jesus. We pray for guidance for our governmental body and for our members. We need to learn how to work together in peace and harmony for our beautiful Fort Park to move forward and be the best it can be. We pray for our world leaders, the leaders of all our nations all over the world, as we face many threats to our peace and security. And particularly remember God's #1 directive to us, the golden rule. Love thy God with all thy heart and all thy soul, and love thy neighbor as thyself. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Directors, the minutes from April 17th, 2019 board meeting are provided in your board packets that you received on Friday. Are there any corrections? Seeing that there are no corrections, all in favor of approving the minutes as distributed, signify by raising your hand. The minutes are passed unanimously. Ms. Isaacs, do you have your treasurer's report?
Okay, y'all bear with me. We're going to do these a little different this month. We're actually going to give our monthly income and outgo. These are for our members, so we would like this. The paper has agreed not to put these in the paper for us. So these are Fort Clark financials. We're not a government entity. We are a private association. So I think these figures will be more important to you as members as our bank balances. So I've got 2 months, which will catch us up to May. Next month we'll do our May financials. So I've got 2 separate ones here to read. So just bear with me. The March revenue is $204,525.38. The total March expenses were $237,232.25 for a net loss of $32,896.67. The April Treasurer's Report was a total of $181,507.30. The FCSA expenses was $184,349.62 for a net loss of $3,344,000. $3,344.09. The Los Morris for March was a total of $868,659.34. The total expenses for the Los Morris Corporation was $7,809 for a net profit of $850.34. The April Los Morris revenue was $7,026.79, and the expenses were $5,578.70 for a net profit of $1,448.09. Just be aware that these are still preliminary figures. We're working through some things that we have found. We've gone back and got stuff from October, November, and December, but we are working through these, and these are preliminary figures. Now I have the October through April FCS for the, this is October through April, and our FCSA revenue was $1,472,149.77. Our expenses were $1,456,884.02 for a net profit of $15,265.75. The treasurer's report for the Los Morris Corporation, we brought in $51,908.20, and our expenditures were $45,456.14 for a net profit of $6,452.06. That is my report for this month.
Thank you, Ms. Isaacs. Do any directors have questions for the treasurer?
Debbie, I do have some questions, but a lot of it's just specific nuanced stuff. Some of it's stuff I don't understand, and a few of them are things we can't even really get into right now, but I'll follow up with you. It's just mainly me understanding all of that, but thank you.
I have, just to let the board know, I'm going to ask Christina to do some things. I have actually gone through, put in a spreadsheet everything, so you can see from month to month what everything across the board has done on a monthly basis.
That will answer a lot of my questions.
Yes, it will. That is for income and expenses.
Mrs. Isaacs, do you have any updates on the audit?
On the audit, I got with our guy that's doing, Mr. Galloway, he's actually doing our financials right now. I asked him when we could expect our audit. I did find out that Jerry Wojak, who is our actual guy that does the audit for us, that he will be here May the 28th to do the field work. So shortly after that field work is done, I couldn't get a direct date when we would have the audit, but I think the membership needs to know that we are working on getting our audit, and that will be May the 28th. He'll be down here to do the field work.
Is that all you have, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. Next is the director on call report. This month, as director on call, I was called to the office for several day-to-day actions, such as signing checks, affidavits for legal action on property liens, addressing member complaints that required board interaction, providing top cover for our employees on several issues, serving as a sounding board for employee concerns, employee process innovation, and working on board packets. The director on call also represented the fort at the 50-year anniversary Pecos Trail visit and responded on scene to the one-car vehicle crash on Friday. Over the course of the month, we discovered several issues that we were able to rectify, the largest being that our credit card was not updated with the current board members' information. Several of our processes are still operating under former board members' credentials, which we were able to get corrected, easing the burden of our employees and allowing operations to continue. Mr. Link filled in for me for a weekend. Considering that this is the first month of this new program, I find that it was beneficial for all involved. The board was kept abreast of pertinent information, and the staff had an access point to the board to communicate with. Directors, do you have any questions for the Director on Call report?
I do not.
Okay, great. Mr. Garcia, do you have a report?
I do. Good morning. So what we're going on with here is, number one, I'm going to go out for applications for maintenance to replace a worker that I've lost. Moved on to another job. So now I've got a total of 4 workers. So if anybody knows anybody qualified and willing to work, please send them our way to fill out an application. Also, we're looking for ideas for fixing the fencing on Highway 90. It's in pretty bad shape in a few places where trees have fallen on it, and it just looks bad. So we're looking for ideas on making that a lot better. Also, on the 23rd and the 24th of this month, we have the pool beautification project, and there's going to be a lot of volunteers. We're going to have all the material, paint, lumber, plumbing. We want to make the pool look really presentable for the summer, and with volunteers' help, I believe we can do that. We're also going out for bids on our roofing. I'll make myself available on the 28th and 29th of this month to show people around to our buildings that need to be, the roofs need to be fixed on. Also, we're looking for bids for our deer trapping that we do. We need to thin the herd on our axis. It's just the way it is. And the current contract we have right now is expired, so I'll be looking for people that are interested in doing that, if y'all know of anybody that does that kind of work. I want to kind of speak on the whole hunting deal. There was some miscommunication, some things that weren't actually right and posted onto Facebook. We do have a hunter out there. There's some things we need to fix on this deal, but every time he comes down, and he comes from Louisiana, he doesn't always come down to hunt. He's an old hunter. He'll come here and he'll sit for 3 days and just watch the movement of the deer that he's after. He'll pick one out or 2 out. He's not after doe. He wants trophy. He wants to spend the $2,500 or whatever it is to get a trophy axis. He'll come out and he'll feed his blind, and he'll sit in a tree stand, and he'll just watch them and see what their times they come in, they go out, what times they bed, where they bed down. He does not shoot out of his vehicle. He is not shooting behind people's homes. He's been here for quite a few years, so he knows the rules, and he goes by them. That being said, there's no season on axis. It's considered an exotic, so you can hunt them out of deer season. And if any of our members are interested in hunting, or know people that are interested in hunting, call up in here, and we can book you a hunt. Right now, we're only going to probably feed 2 feeders, 2 separate locations, to see if this is going to catch on and more are going to come. It's expensive to put corn in those things. And if it's not for the pigs knocking them over or the coons getting in it, it doesn't all get eaten by the deer. So right now, we'll try out 2 spots, 2 locations, probably on the west side of the airport and maybe down by the sewer plant. We'll try those 2 places out and see how they work. So yeah, y'all can hunt if you want. Now, moving on to the door issue, I will also be going out for bids on the doors for the motel. Apparently the gentleman that we had hired to do just can't return a phone call, doesn't show up. There's a total of 9 doors done already, but the remainder still need to be done. Again, those will go out. I'll take bids. Anybody's interested, know anybody, let me know. We are going to, and I'm looking into this, we're looking into upgrading our time clock system for our employees. So I've got bids going out for that. And last thing I've got, and I'd like all y'all's help as far as members, is with the trash. Now, in our rules, in section 24, it says that all the trash needs to be in a rodent vector and scavenger proof. I know you can't keep flies away from it and all that, but if you throw your trash in plastic bags out on a Saturday and we pick them up on Monday, coons, cats, and whatever else is gonna spread it all over the neighborhood. Put it in a can, please. And make sure there's a lid on it. I know that you have, people have parties over the weekend, you got extra trash, okay, I get it. Try and put it out Monday morning not necessarily buy another can if you only use one. But if you have a little bit extra, please put it out first thing in the morning. That way, we're not wasting time picking up trash all through the neighborhood. It looks bad, so we're gonna ask that. I've also made out some little flyers that I'm gonna attach to doors when we come by on Monday and pick up trash, and I notice that the trash is already scattered out. I'll be tagging doors with this information. And that's about all I got. Thank you.
Directors, do you have any questions for the acting executive officer?
All right.
I do.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
On that hunt, if that's strictly for any access, does, whatever,
Yes,
through
ma'am.
the summertime, you're allowing that?
Yes, ma'am. Does, we're at $250 for the doe, for 2 doe.
Okay.
That's what we were during hunting season, and then the trophies that range from $750 up to $2,500.
Yeah, if I could real quick on that hunting thing. So with this guy, he said he comes down, sometimes he just sits in the blind and he's just sort of observing what's going on with the animals. When he does say, hey, I'd like to shoot today, we're closing off the trails, we're putting up the signs.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And if it makes membership happy, we can put out a dispatch that, be advised, there'll be a hunter out in this general location. If he's not going out with a gun, I'm not putting up a sign. But if he says, hey, I'm fixing to take my gun or my crossbow out, then myself or Matt will put out a sign saying this area is closed.
Okay. And then on the catch pen, does that catch pen belong to us that we trap those? So
Negative. That belongs to Mr. Kyle Burks,
Okay.
which has our current contract, but I'm sure if somebody comes in low, that he's going to come get it out.
that was just another question I had, if it was theirs or ours.
No, ma'am, I'd like to have it. Oh, one more thing, let me just let people know. Within the next couple of weeks here, you will hear gunshots at night. We have a very bad hog problem, and if we don't get rid of them, if we don't take care of it now, they're going to end up on our golf course and they're going to tear up our greens. They go for where they know they can get grubs and they'll dig it up. And if y'all never seen what a pig can do to a ground, go down the road on the way to Red Bridge. They can tear some stuff up. So we kind of want to get rid of that. And it'll only be myself and Matt.
Any other questions? Okay. Excuse me. All right, committee reports. Before we hear the first committee report, I just want to say, committees, if you're hosting an event or want to share imagery from things that you guys are working on, please send them to me. I will gladly add them to this presentation so that we can show that during the board meeting. And also as a reminder to the committees, please keep your reports to up to 2 minutes with pertinent information that needs to be reported to the board. Our timer just started. So first up is the airport committee.
Did you already start my timer?
Not yet.
All right, I'm Chris Perkins. I'll be representing the airport committee for today, the 15th of May. In April, we hosted our first fly-in of the year, and the only one for the year. We had 17 airplanes come out with 22 pilots that were new to the port to introduce them to Fort Clark Springs. One of the things we added to this year's event was a historic tour, and it was very well received. 14 of the pilots took the tour around the fort, and it was hosted by the Historical Society. We also had our open house for all of Fort membership in conjunction with the flying, of which 108 Fort members attended. And during the open house, we had a food truck, aerial demonstration, and several planes on display for people to come out and see. In addition, 5 of those pilots that were new utilized the swim park, yielding $25 in usage fees to the fort. Of the countless hours spent in preparation, and approximately $3,000 of personal funds were spent preparing the airfield for the flying and open house, the airport was able to raise and donate $214 to the Historical Society from the tours. We would like to thank the Historical Society for working with us to provide the historical tours, the Fort Clark Days Committee for setting up the drink sales in the hangar that was available for the membership during the open house, and to Mr. Garcia and all of his staff in support of setting up the airfield in the fort with extra stuff like the trash cans. We really appreciate that. We'd also like to thank Ms. Susan Hughes, Ms. Pat Stephenson, and Mr. Stephen Fox for offering overnight accommodations to folks, the pilots who flew in that did not camp out by their aircraft, as the motel was lodged as full all the way until the day of the fly-in. On April 30th, two of our pilots, Sam Lark and myself, conducted a missing man flyover formation in honor of our fellow aviator Larry McMurlin. He passed last month. Missing man formation is an aerial salute performed in memory of a fallen aviator. Sam carried our nation's flag in his co-pilot seat, and I flew the Texas state flag in mine. The next day I took the nation's flag to work and flew the flag in the T-38 as a final commemorative salute. Both flags, along with certificates indicating with whom they were flown and by when they were flown, were sent to the McMurlin family. Larry was instrumental in making our airport what it is today, and we thank him for his
2
tireless
minutes
service.
is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the airport committee? Okay, thank you, sir. Architecture?
Good morning. We met 5 times in April. We had 26 permits. We tabled 7. 2 were withdrawn and 1 extension. We've sent out quite a few violation notices for grass, weeds, junk cars. We have had quite a few junk cars towed. And one other thing I wanted to say is that I've been hearing complaints about green space. The Architectural Committee does not control anything on green space. So if you got a problem there, see Phil. Sorry, Phil. And back to the grass 1 second. I think the fort in general with the grass cutting has been a lot better than it has been in the past. So keep up the good work there. And we have a new application. You probably got a dispatch. We actually found out we need to tweak it a little bit more, but it's very easy to fill out. We just want to know who's doing what. If you're replacing a roof, we want to know what color roof you have and what you're replacing it with, because we don't want to wind up with wrong colors in the wrong places. For the most part, the color doesn't matter, but in some areas it does. So please put the type of material and color on there. You don't have to wait for approval. There's no cost. You just fill it
15
out.
seconds.
Fill it out, turn it into the girls out front, and you can go ahead and do your business. And it goes along for doors and windows and anything else that's a repair.
Any questions for the Architecture Committee? I just want to add that they have been working very hard. There was a lot of negative response to the dispatch that was sent out on their behalf. And I do want to say, when you drive around the fort, it's not exactly gorgeous. And a lot of that is private property that people are just not maintaining. So they're going to get a lot stricter. We're going to support that as best as we can. For members, you know, there are rules and regulations, there's CC&Rs, and Architecture Committee's job is to enforce those. So we fully support them getting a little stricter on that. Equine Committee.
Good morning.
Right.
I really don't have a report because we haven't had a meeting, so there's nothing specific. I just wanted to come up and say that the manure removal and the bringing of sand and crushed rock and then taking the time to put it all into a stall for the individuals that requested that, I just want to give kudos to Philip. He did a great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the Equine Committee? All right, awesome. Golf? Okay, no report from golf. You have anything?
I was just going to say that I need to pick up scholarships today, and the golf committee was giving out 2 $1,000 scholarships this year. from their proceeds from the Lost Moors tournament.
Preservation.
Good morning. I'd like to report that the last check for the Dickman Hall awning was delivered on the 22nd of April, so that project is finished officially. The check for the second phase of the Seminole Hall windows has also been delivered. Of course, we're standing by for approval for the third phase. The next projects, we're looking at drainage around the theater. I've already talked to Philip and to see about grading the dirt away from the building, which will be a major part of getting the drainage taken care of, but we're also going to look at the pipes and what's actually happening with those, whether they're clogged or crushed or both. And also, this next one is the painting or the staining of the exterior wood on the commissary. We've already got one company that's looking at it, but we're going to need to go out for bids for that. But the wood around the exteriors hasn't been done in decades, so it needs to get done. Do you have any questions?
I do want to tell you that Randy did finally text me this morning on the historic building funds. He assures me that it'll happen next month, that we're to a point now that he can focus on that. Linda, I sent you an email last night. I don't know if you got it. I just wanted to let you know I pursued this one up till yesterday again on that.
Okay, thanks, David.
Okay, recycling.
Good morning. Recycle sent March 6th, 46 cartons and 3 bales of plastic. We got the results financially, and we had a grand total of $223.64 that we made on the load, but the truck cost us $400, so we're negative by about $190. So I keep requesting people. The money that we make is based on aluminum cans and white office paper. So if you have beer and soda cans, that would be really helpful to get over to recycle. The second thing is, please don't leave bags when the place is not open. That happens periodically, and it's, somebody's got to lift them up and bring them back. You mentioned, again, this is sort of off the topic, you mentioned we have rules and regulations, and I wanted to remind the board that I think 5 of us were on a committee to revise the rules and regs, presented to the board in August, but we haven't heard anything more.
Well, that's not part of recycling, but we
That
are
is
working
not.
on it. Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Are there any questions for
A
recycling?
suggestion, yeah.
Yes.
Anything?
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, community council, do you have a report?
Hi, Allison Watkinson couldn't be here this morning because she is testing children at school. As of April 20th meeting, Allison Watkinson was elected to complete the remainder of Lisa Vale's term. The new president will be elected in January. Fort Clark Springs Community Council Board of Directors met to complete an annual plan that will run from now through Fort Clark Days of 2020 for Fort Clark Springs Community Council. I have a hard copy today, and Allison will be emailing you a PDF later this afternoon. We would like to have this put on the June agenda if we could. Let me this should take us from now, like I say, through Fort Clark Days in 2020. On May 11th, movie night was attended by 47 people. We wish to give a special shout out to Philip Garcia and crew for putting up the screen for us, and to David Loftus for setting up the sound system and posting information on the Post Theater marquee. The movie was sponsored by an anonymous donor and Bill and Sandy Herman. We made $136 in movie license donations, which will go toward helping to defray the negative balance for licensing fees from this summer. Concession sales were $75. It appears that all the guests at the movie are residents of Fort Clark. Our next movie is June 8th, and we'll have a poll on Facebook for folks to vote on what to show. We haven't decided it will be indoor or outdoor. Depends on how hot the Post Theater is at that time. But we will continue to project outdoor ones on the north wall of the Post Theater and have concession sales from there. Fort Clark Days Committee is very active. Under the leadership of Sandra Vance, more than $300 was made at a garage sale this last Saturday. The next Fort Clark Days meeting is May the 3rd, so I can't read the rest of it. Okay. Well, there was some good stuff in there. Thank you. Come see me and I'll tell you the rest of it.
Okay. So we're going to move to action items. Before we begin discussing the action items, I wanted to recap once again how the action item portion of the meeting will work. Excuse me. All of the supporting documentation is being provided to the board in advance of this meeting. As the chair, I will accept the motion to consider the action item with a second, then I will open the floor for discussion. We will go down the line, starting with Mr. Sullivan, and each director will have up to 2 minutes to provide discussion on the action item. After all directors have had an opportunity to provide their inputs, a second opportunity will be offered. After that second round, I will open the floor to membership for up to 3 comments from the membership. Each member is limited to up to 1 minute. This is not an opportunity to have a two-way discussion with the board. This is your opportunity to state your opinion, which the board will consider prior to vote. Members will be respectful and professional, or they will be asked to return to their seats. The first item is to consider approval of an amendment to the motel purchase. The expenditure was approved in March 2019 to purchase 74 beds from Sam's Club. That purchase fell through. Staff procured 3 new bids and included the cost of removing the old beds, not previously factored in. And the board is being asked to approve the amending purchase to include a new vendor and removal of the beds. And on your slide, it shows the cost of all of that. Do I have a motion to consider approval of amendment to the motel mattress purchase?
Yes, I'll make that motion if we consider it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
So I'm now opening the floor for discussion. Mr. Sullivan, do you have any inputs?
I just have a couple of questions, and I was pretty familiar with the problems that were involved in Sam's Club. This sounds good, and I'm wondering, it's indicated that there's even more savings from this situation than there was with the Sam's Club arrangement, which is wonderful. But how about the quality? Is the quality equal? Have you checked that out?
I have to give our employee Sharon the credit for this. She did a lot of work in looking into these and seeing which beds are going to be the best as far as quality and also a bed bug problem. So the mattresses that we're looking at that I put my name on that I'd like are a foam mattress, kind of like the ones that we got from Sam's, but a little bit higher quality. They're a little bit more expensive, but not by much. Research that we did, there's no seams in them. That's kind of where the bed bugs like to live. And with covers on them, I mean, we can't guarantee no bed bugs, but we can pretty much say they're a lot safer than regular mattresses. These mattresses are just a single mattress with a frame that comes with it, kind of like the ones that we have in the rooms right now.
Is that a bed box or?
Yes, it's a mattress box.
Yeah, and that information on the bed bug
Yes, sir.
situation was furnished to us, so that's all I have.
Mr. Lane?
Yeah, I have a question too, Philip, and it's just a point of clarification because I wasn't sure how it was worded in here. So the option you recommended, what I wasn't clear on was, did that include replacing the mattress boxes, or was that reusing the mattress boxes that we already had?
No, we're getting rid of them. These
Okay.
do not use a box frame. And that, what Debbie's holding right there will be the frame that they sit on. So it's basically,
kind of a-
it's basically a mattress box, so it eliminates a place for them to live.
That's the only thing I had.
Ms. Isaacs?
No, I've been pretty involved in this whole process, so I've pretty much asked all my questions already.
Of note, the vendor that we are selecting to consider is the commercial sales division of Mattress Firm, which specializes in providing commercial bedding options for motels and hotels. And just so that it's clarified up for everyone else, we're purchasing a total of 72 beds, not 74 as previously approved. And this order will take 3 weeks to arrive and 2 days to replace all the old beds with new beds. 71 of these beds are replacing motel beds, and 1 is going into the Shafter rental apartment. And I do want to say, Philip, I'm very impressed with the thoroughness of the bid preparation. Sherry did a very good job with this and gave some really solid options. Are there any reattacks to this?
Yeah.
No.
So we have a motion on the floor to consider approval of amendment to the motel mattress purchase. All of those in favor signify by raising. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to include member comments. I apologize. We have up to 3 member comments, so if anyone has any comments to make, please come up.
I have a question.
We have a question.
Just to clarify, this start to finish, this new thing, approval, is it start to finish on mattress? Buy, sell, haul?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, no extra expense. Okay.
Are there any other member comments? Okay. So, again, I have a motion on the floor to consider approval of the amendment to the motel mattress purchase, and I have a second. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Motion passes unanimously. Second action item is to consider approval of Architecture Committee member appointment. 5 total members volunteered for this committee. Of those, 2 were available to meet with the committee, and since receiving this information, the Architecture Committee was able to meet with the other 2 as well, and they are asking that all 4 individuals be appointed to the committee. And I will go ahead and read those names. Linda O'Brien, Bill Herman, Blanca Knight, and Phoebe Bordelon. Do I have a motion on the floor to consider approval of Architecture Committee member to be appointed to the committee?
I'll make a motion that we appoint all 4 people to the committee.
Do I have a second? Mr. Sullivan? Okay, Mr. Sullivan, we'll start with you if you have any comments.
No comment.
Okay, Mr. Lynn?
I have nothing to add.
Ms. Isaacs?
Nothing.
Okay. The only thing I have to add is that this committee is authorized to have 7 members, and with this appointment of the 4, it will put them at max capacity. For the first time in a very long time, we will have a full architecture committee. So that's all I have. Are there any additional comments?
Who actually keeps up with the terms limits on that committee, and when are they due?
It would be the chair, and in the information that was provided to you in your board packet, in there it states when people were appointed and when their term expires or expired. Okay.
As long as you keep up with it.
Yes, ma'am. Are there any member comments? Okay. Seeing as there are none, I have a motion on the floor to consider the appointment of Linda O'Brien, Bill Herman, Blanca Knight, and Phoebe Bordelon to the Architecture Committee. All of those in favor signify by raising your hand. Motion passes unanimously. You got your full committee there, sir. Next action item is to consider approval of the duck-in usage agreement between Fort Clark Days Committee and the Fort. Do I have a motion to consider the approval of the duck-in usage agreement? the Fort Clark Days Committee?
I will make that motion that we consider this proposal.
Do you have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Mr. Sullivan, do you have any inputs?
No.
Okay. Mr. Lane?
Yeah, I have a question again. So part of this proposal includes basically the association paying half of the utilities, but whether Philip, Debbie, what is that cost going to be to the association?
Well, that was a question I had also. Right now, I think it's, I think the water bill was like $58 and the electric bill was $18. But if they start putting in electric anything or something like that, I don't know how much we would really want to continue to split that.
Okay. Can you, with knowing what you know, can you just give us a rough estimate of what that cost would be?
Through the summer, no. We haven't used that as far as I know in the last several years. I think that when somebody was in there, each group, I think the Fort actually paid all of the utilities. I do not have the documentation to go back and really figure it out, because if you've never had the fans, they're going to have fans in there. They may have to have little ice boxes. I don't know what they're going to put in there. So I don't know what it'll go up. 58 and 18 is what they are right now, with nothing happening down there.
Inside there right now, there's a refrigerator, a hot dog warmer, and a window unit air conditioner. So if you're drawing power on anything right now, it's just refrigerator.
Any other questions or comments? Ms. Isaacs, do you have any comments or questions?
No, that was my comments and my questions right there.
Okay. As you can read on the slide, those are the terms that, you've got the slides in front of you. The terms that they'd like to have are using this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, starting Memorial Day weekend to August 1st. I'm very impressed with the efforts that are being focused on fundraising for Fort Clark Days. They've already held concessions at the variety show, airport open house, and hosted a garage sale. And they also seek to get sponsorships, which shows that they're committed to making Fort Clark Days happen. I think if they're willing to pay half the utilities, knowing that it may ebb and flow a little bit, I think that's a pretty fair deal. Are there any reattacks?
Yes, I do. I know in the past when people have wanted to use the duck in, there's been proposals of charging so much rent and a percentage of their receipts. In this case, I understand there's a huge difference here because this is a community council for Fort Clark Days, which benefit the entire association. So I think as long as it's clear that all of the net proceeds are going to go towards Fort Clark Days, then we can look at what the cost is to us, like a donation to Fort Clark Days.
Yes, sir.
I have nothing to add.
Ms. Isaacs?
I have nothing else.
Okay. I'll open the floor for member comments, up to 3 of them. Ms. Hay?
Maybe just a question on the water. Since it's not being used, the minimum's only $24. Could there be a leak? Should we check with MUD on, if we're not using it, it should be more than $24.
Well, again, like I said, our financials are preliminary. I don't know how accurate or if they've been, I was just going by what the last 2 bills have been.
So I'm going to go ahead and
It's not for
interrupt.
water. It's not for watering. It's just for the inside with the
I'm
duck
going to
in.
go ahead and interrupt. This is the time for member input, not questions. So do you have input that you want us to
You
consider?
might want to
before-
check with MUD to see if there's a leak.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Vance?
Well, I know me being up here is a little self-serving, but I think that this is good for the fort. I think it's good for the membership, and it's certainly good for Fort Clark Days.
Thank you.
Are there any other member comments? Okay.
Do you have, Maria, do you have to be signed up to make a comment?
No, ma'am, you don't have to be signed up to make a comment, and we have room for one more comment, so if one other individual has a comment, they're welcome to come to the mic. Ma'am, it needs to pertain specifically to this action item.
We have illegals that are coming up Las Morris Creek. And
Ma'am, I understand that, but this particular portion of the
well,
meeting is just
no,
for
yes,
this
ma'am.
particular action item. I understand your concern, and I'd be glad to address it, but this is not the time to
Well, I
address
have
it.
a $200 bill where they broke into my house and turned the oven on and left it, and the whole fort could have been burnt down.
I understand, ma'am, and like I said, I'm happy to address that, but this is not the time to address that particular concern. This is for this specific action item, okay?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
And I
I'll be happy to
apologize.
talk to you after the meeting if you'd like.
No, yeah, I would appreciate it,
Okay.
but, we've got a serious problem.
I understand. I'll come see you. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other member comments regarding the duck-in? I will ask members to please keep your comments to yourself. Thank you. We have a motion on the floor to consider approval of the duck-in usage agreement with Fort Clark Days Committee. We have a second. All of those in favor of this signify by raising your hand. Motion passes unanimously. The next action item is to consider approval of a donation to Brackett ISD's project graduation. For those who are unfamiliar, project graduation is an all-night lock-in event for graduating seniors with the goal of allowing high school seniors to celebrate their accomplishments safely. It's a non-alcoholic and usually held at the campus. The last one was held about 5 years ago. The proposed donation is $150. Do I have a motion on the floor to consider approval of the donation to Brackett ISD's project graduation?
I'll make the motion that we donate the $150 to project graduation.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Mr. Sullivan, do you have any inputs?
Nothing.
Okay, Mr. Link?
My only comment is that I absolutely love this, and I'm going to admit I'm a Yankee. I'm from a big city, so one of my complaints when I first moved here was not having anything for my kids to do. I absolutely love this idea, and I love the idea of us supporting it.
Thank you. Ms. Isaacs?
I really don't have anything at this time.
Okay. One more round. Mr. Sullivan, anything?
No.
Mr. Sullivan?
Nothing.
Okay. I'll open the floor for 3 member comments. Seeing as there are none, I have a motion on the floor to consider approval for donation to Brackett ISD's project graduation, and I have a second. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Motion passes unanimously. The next action item is consider approval of the summer energy contract renewal. The costs are going up, and depending on the length of the contract will determine what that fee will be. Do I have a motion on the floor to consider approval of summer energy contract renewal?
I'll make the motion that we consider it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Mr. Sullivan, do you have any comments?
The proposal has varying rates depending on the length of the contract. I would be in favor of the shortest time period because the savings is very small, and I like the idea of not being tied in for many years.
Yes, sir. Mr. Lynn?
Yeah, my thought pretty much runs along the same lines. I was doing the math on it last night. I understand we got an updated figure today for the 2-year contract, so it's slightly less. But when we look at this, a 2-year contract, unfortunately the rate's going up, period. Okay, we're going to pay, from what I did last night, 28% more. It's probably going to be closer to 27%. But it's sort of outlying factors. The coal thing that shut down, I don't even remember the name of it honestly, but it's part of why their rates are going up. So this is something that's going to affect us no matter what we do. There is not a significant difference to locking ourselves into a really long-term contract. Not only that, that can pose its own set of issues. So when I looked at this last night, there's a 3%, probably more like a 2% difference now between a 2- and a 3-year contract. I kind of lean towards a 3-year contract. I'm not really comfortable going longer than that, but my thoughts are at the moment that that would probably be our best option.
Ms. Isaacs?
I don't know how long we've actually been with Summer Energy, but we didn't go out and get any other bids from any of the other companies.
No. This is the same company
Okay.
we used
Okay.
past 2 years.
Well, I kind of would like to agree with Dan on the 2-year contract because prices fluctuate and you can shop the market. When you lock yourself in, then that 2% savings may not really be that in 3 years. So I'd go with the 2-year contract.
Okay. I also am inclined to support a 2-year contract as well, mostly because we've got 2 years left until we have another election, and we don't want to lock ourselves into a contract that the newer board after us would have to be stuck with. We want to give them that option to address it as well. Are there any reattacks?
I would find a 2-year contract acceptable, and just to answer Debbie's concern about it was last year that we switched to summer energy, and at that time we did get multiple bids, and they were by far and away the most competitive.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
I have nothing yet.
Nothing.
I'm opening the floor up for 3-member comments. Does anyone have any comment that they'd like to share? Okay. Seeing as there are none, it appears that a 2-year contract is what the majority have kind of expressed. Mr. Link, do you have any issues with exploring a 2-year contract?
No.
Okay. So, do I have an amendment to the motion to consider approval of the summer energy contract renewal for 24 months in duration? I think you made the motion, so.
I do not have a problem to make it a 2-year contract.
Okay.
I accept that amendment.
Okay. So we have an amended motion to consider the approval of summer energy contract renewal for the term of 24 months, 2 years. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Motion passes unanimously. The next action item is to consider the approval of an expenditure of $5,280 to repair windows at Seminole Hall. As you might recall from the Preservation Committee's report, this is their 3rd phase of repairs, and they've selected to ask that the same vendor that worked on the windows previously continue to do that work. So do I have a motion on the floor to consider approval for the expenditure of $5,280 to repair windows at Seminole Hall?
I'll make the motion that we consider that proposal.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll make the second if we go ahead.
I have a motion on the floor and a second. Mr. Sullivan, do you have any discussion?
Yes, it seems like this approval of repairing the windows at Seminole Hall has been going on for eons. We're hearing about it over and over and over again. You say this is the 3rd phase. Would it happen to be the final phase that we finally have all the windows fixed?
No, sir. I'm seeing your head shaking no.
Excuse me?
There's a head in the audience shaking no, sir, so I guess not.
Okay, that was my question. It would be nice to know when we're going to get them all fixed.
Well, we can't afford them all at one time. We want to kind of save our money in case we have an emergency in there. But this is also something that's on the Kenny County historical thing to keep our, that we have to keep on our buildings also. So
Be at least one more phase, I guess.
Yeah. So.
there's one more after this one on the downstairs. On the downstairs.
Time to start over. Mr. Link, do you have anything?
No, my only comment is that it seems to me to make good sense. This contractor has worked out for us. I see no reason why we shouldn't continue to keep that relationship going.
Okay. Ms. Isaacs?
I have nothing.
Okay. Any reattacks? I'll open the floor for 3-member comments. Okay. Seeing as there are none, I have a motion on the floor to consider approval of expenditure of $5,280 to repair the windows in Seminole Hall. I have a second. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Motion passes unanimously. There is no old business. Under new business, we have one item. On May 3rd, 2019, I accepted the resignation of Mr. John Hope from the Board of Directors. We wish him and his family well in his future endeavors and thank him for his service. After accepting his resignation, I'm going to go ahead and ask for member comments to cease, please. Thank you. After accepting his resignation, I called our legal counsel to get clarification on how we proceed with filling this vacancy. Our bylaws discuss vacancy on the board in 2 places. I'm going to take a minute to read them. The first instance is on page 7, Article 4, Paragraph 3, letter E, number 14. And I'm going to go ahead and read it. A vacancy for an unexpired term shall be filled by the first runner-up of the winner of the annual election. In the event there is more than one unexpired term to be filled, the longest unexpired term shall be awarded to the first runner-up, and the next longest unexpired term to the second runner-up, and so forth. Write-in votes do not count towards filling vacant positions. That's the first reference. The second is Article 4, Paragraph 4, letter G, which I will also read. It is under vacancies. Vacancy in the Board of Directors at a time other than an annual election may only be filled by the affirmative vote of the remaining members of the Board of Directors if the vacancy was caused by resignation, death, or incapacity of the former director. These two references conflict with each other. Therefore, it is at the recommendation of our legal counsel that we fill the vacancy in accordance with Property Code 209.00593.a, which reads in part, notwithstanding any provision in a dedicatory instrument, a board member may be appointed by the majority of the remaining board to fill the vacancy on the board. A board member, something flying around my face, a board member appointed to fill a vacant position shall serve for the remainder of the unexpired term of the position, which also is in line with the Article 4.4.g, which is the second thing that I read to you from our bylaws. So it is under that premise we are going to fill this vacancy. I asked each board member to submit their nominee for appointment if they had a nominee. Not everyone did have a nominee. And we will vote in open session on the appointment. I fully understand that there are expectations from some of our membership regarding how the appointment process should work. This portion of our meeting is not going to be open to member input, as we are out of an election cycle and this is solely a board appointment. We currently have a lot of moving parts taking place, many of which I'm limited in providing information on because of legal ramifications. As it pertains to the board, we are asking that you trust all decisions are being made in the best interest of the association as a whole, and we are balancing the needs of the association with each issue as it arises. So with that being said, the three candidates that are being considered for appointment are Ms. Linda O'Brien, Mr. Charles Kirby, and Mr. Charles Fish. What I'm going to do at this time is I'm going to go down the line to each director, and they are welcome to give their 2 minutes of input. We'll do our second round, and then we will vote. Mr. Sullivan.
I'm making a motion. I move that the board rules be temporarily suspended to allow input from the members on this very important issue. That's a motion I'm putting forward.
If there is no second to that motion, then the motion dies.
Okay, then next, I believe that the two phrases, the two sections, number 3 and number 4 in our bylaws are not necessarily conflicting. It's a matter of determining when or not in an election cycle. In this case, it's when the vacancy occurs, not when the board addresses it. The vacancy occurred only 4 days after the new elected directors were sworn in. And the second, if you're going to use that and say it's not at a time of the annual election, then the second one applies, which does allow the board to appoint whoever they want, but it also requires it to be a unanimous vote, because as you read there, it shall be filled by the affirmative vote of the remaining directors. It doesn't say a majority of the remaining directors as the law does, and the law says if the articles of incorporation or the bylaws provide otherwise, you go by that. So I would say that the best you can do is say you can appoint whoever you want, but you need a unanimous vote.
Mr. Link?
Reset the timer on myself.
Yeah, sure.
All right. It's my understanding that the law firm recommended this course of action to us. I am not a lawyer. I read the law a lot, but I am no lawyer. The way I understand it, the lawyers believe it's a conflict, and that to fall back on the property code would be the correct course of action. I don't see any purpose in arguing with the law firm that we've agreed to engage with, or else why are we paying them to engage with them for legal counsel? So I, for one, think we should follow their advice in this case. As far as the affirmative vote that Mr. Sullivan mentioned, again, I'm not a lawyer. I can't parse that language out for you to tell you what it's going to mean in court. To my understanding, a majority vote was sufficient. Unless there is some reason that somebody can point to some legal document or case law that says otherwise, I don't see why anything other than a majority vote is necessary.
Ms. Isaacs?
That's pretty much what I was going to say myself. But it wasn't only 4 days after we were sworn in that we got his resignation. It was much longer than that period.
May 3rd is when...
Correct, I am wrong, I withdraw that. May 3rd you accepted.
Yes, sir. May 3rd is when I accepted the resignation. The new board was sworn in on March the 30th, I believe. An affirmative vote means that whatever action is required to have an actual vote that counts is what's required for this appointment. In that case, an affirmative vote in our situation is the majority vote. And that, as Mr. Link has already identified, before we did anything, legal counsel was sought, because this is a very sensitive topic, and truth be told, we're not going to go do something that our lawyers are not going to support. Seeing as we are spending quite a bit of money to have that counsel, it's in our best interest to heed the advice of said counsel, especially in a matter like this. So, that being said, an affirmative vote is a majority vote, which in our case, there's 4 of us, so 3 of the 4 would constitute that, unless there's a split vote, at which point, if it's a 1-1, then the 2 votes would be then the majority. So, are there any other discussion topics on the method that we have already agreed to exercise?
Our bylaws do provide, and it is a legal document, for unanimous vote. It says, by the affirmative vote of the remaining directors. In the law, which is superseded by our bylaws in this case, the law says by the affirmative vote of the majority of the remaining directors, but our bylaws don't say that. Our bylaws say by the affirmative vote of the remaining directors. That includes all of us. We're all remaining directors. And and I haven't seen any opinion or argument for that opinion from our attorneys. You know, is this just something verbal, or did they send an email, or how did they communicate it to us?
I think I might have an email, but this was a phone conversation, and I'll look in my email, because he did send me the actual portion of Property Code 209 that applies. And I failed to print that for you.
But it also says notwithstanding any other provision in your articles of incorporation or bylaws. And we do have other provisions in our bylaws.
Mr. Link, do you have anything?
So to kind of address that, and the way I see it, the problem is the bylaws. The problem is the fact that they conflict. Therefore, it doesn't matter if one part of the bylaws say it's got to be unanimous or not. That is the problem, that the bylaws conflict themselves. So that's my only addition.
Ms. Isaac?
And I believe that's also what the lawyers actually said, was we have a conflict, we need to fix the conflict, but we need to abide by law, is what the lawyers said.
Yes, that's correct. We do have a conflict that we are going to have to address in the bylaws, which will be something that we deal with at a later point in time. So at this point, we have discussed this twice. So what I'd like to do is entertain a motion to call each name, and we'll call for a vote for each name, and if each person can vote for who they feel is appropriate, we'll look at what the majority of that vote will be. Sound good? Okay. So, do you have a motion on the floor to vote on an appointment of a director to fill the vacancy in accordance with Property Code 209.00593.a?
I'll make the motion that we consider that.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor of Linda O'Brien being the appointed director to fill the vacancy, signify by raising your hand. We have one vote. All those in favor of Charles Kirby being considered for appointment to the director vacancy, signify by raising your hand. It's 2 votes. All those in favor of considering Charles Fish for the appointment to the director vacancy, please signify by raising your hand.
I guess that wasn't a surprise.
Sir, you can't vote twice. You can only vote once.
It said that I can't vote twice. My vote is already lost, so I'm out
Okay.
of the picture.
All right. So we're going to remove the vote for Linda O'Brien and put that to Charles Fish. So this is kind of Charles v. Charles kind of a situation. All right, we're going to do this vote again because now we have a tie. All those in favor of appointing Charles Kirby to fill the director vacancy, signify by raising your hand. Still at 2. All those in favor of appointing Mr. Charles Fish to fulfill the vacancy of the director appointment, signify by raising your hand. Okay, great, we're at 2. So what I'd like to do at this point is I'd like to open the floor to allow the directors to discuss why their candidate is the better choice. So Mr. Link, actually, I'm sorry, Mr. Sullivan.
My initial support for Linda O'Brien is based on the fact she was the member's choice. She
Please
was
speak into the
first
mic,
on
sir.
roll. Huh?
Please speak into the microphone.
I am.
Closer, closer.
I'm not going to eat it. But that's why I voted for Linda O'Brien when she has no choice, no chance, obviously. And my second choice that I will vote for is Mr. Charles Fish.
Mr. Link.
All right, well, I'm not going to tell you that I know Mr. Charles Fish intimately. When we were both running through the election together, I got to talk to him a little bit. I really appreciated his perspective on a lot of things. I thought he had some very good points. He's got a very practical approach that I think we sorely need. And I believe that he genuinely is interested in what is best for this association. I felt very comfortable in supplying his name when we were asked to supply a name to fill this vacancy. And it is my belief that he is the best candidate that I know of today to fill that role.
Okay. Ms. Isaacs?
Well, I think Mr. Kirby is somebody new on the force, hasn't really been into any of the politics. I believe that the position that he holds in the business world is a great asset to the force, or would be a great asset to the force. And new eyes, new leadership, and that's kind of where I was with Mr. Kirby.
So I support Mr. Kirby because of the fact that he is not entrenched already in what happens politically on the court. The first thing people tell you is not to get involved with politics. So look where we're at now. Yeah. He works for a 3-letter agency and has a lot of supervisory experience that I feel is going to be beneficial to us. He's got a great business acumen. He's able to come in, not make emotional decisions, which is something that we need on this board. We need less emotion, more action with business-minded focus. And as far as his ability to develop a budget and execute a budget, working for a 3-letter agency, that's one of the things that you have to be sharply focused on. And if you aren't, well, you're accountable to your expenditures because you're spending taxpayer dollars. And with that kind of a mindset, even though we are not spending taxpayer dollars, we're spending member dollars. And we should treat our member dollars as if they were taxpayer dollars that we have to spend in the government. And I think that is a very needed attribute for whoever we appoint next. It doesn't mean that the other two candidates aren't worthy of being on the board. I mean, nobody is better than anybody. But at this point in time, when looking at the myriad of things that we've got
15
facing,
seconds.
thank you. The myriad of things that we've got facing us, many of which are still on the way, and we can't announce them or discuss them at this point. I think we're going to need somebody that will have that integrity. Again, not saying that Mr. Fish or Ms. O'Brien have no integrity, but I think that right now that's the person that needs to fill that position. Thank you.
No, you're fine.
Do we have any re-attacks?
Yes. Another reason, I'm sure Mr. Kirby is a wonderful, qualified man, although he was not vetted. But Mr. Fish had him cared enough about the fort to step forward, put himself out there, and run for the board. And he was vetted. And we had all the information that he put out publicly to everybody. Mr. Kirby, as I'm sure, is a wonderful person. I don't know him, but to my knowledge, he's never served on any committee of the fort. He didn't bother to run for the board of directors, and I don't see where his concerns are as strong as those of Mr. Fish. So I still support Mr. Fish.
Mr. Lynn?
I have nothing to add.
Okay. Ms. Isaacs?
I have nothing to add.
Okay. So we will vote one more time, and if we are still at a deadlock, then we will table this until a later point in time. Everybody agree to that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So all those in favor of, hold on, let me pull the names up. Mr. Charles Kirby, please signify by raising your hand. Okay, still two. And all those in favor of Mr. Charles Fish, signify by raising your hand. Okay. So we are at a tie, and we will table this appointment to a future date and time. Probably next meeting. Okay, you all agree to that? Okay, very good. All right, so we do have some announcements. On May 23rd and 24th, the swim beautification project. We're very excited about the first of many beautification projects here. On this particular one, we're going to send a dispatch with more details on what time we're going to meet and what to bring, like tools and safety equipment, if you need to bring those on Monday. So look out for that. This is going to be a great opportunity to give maintenance some help and to also beautify our swim park so that we can all enjoy it. Thank you to everyone who's already stepped up to help. We've even had someone volunteer to feed the volunteers, which is also amazing. During our board orientation workshop, we talked about dates for a town hall meeting. With the flow of the board meetings changing, we want to give members the opportunity to be heard, and town halls are the avenue to do that. June 1st is going to be the first one, and following that town hall meeting, we're going to have a potluck, which Ms. Linda O'Brien, I don't know if she's still in here, raise your hand. She has volunteered to coordinate the potluck afterwards as a thank you to everyone who is attending the town hall and also for all the work that people are going to be doing at the swim park. So that's really awesome. Thank you, Mrs. O'Brien. She brought a sign-up sheet for food sign-ups, and it's in the back, I think, right? Yeah. Okay. We're also going to get a dispatch sent out to get volunteers to bring food as well. At the town hall, when it first starts, we will talk about the way that the flow will work for the town hall. So that can just wait until we have that town hall. It'll be at 9:30 in the morning, and it will last until 11. Let me write that down too, because I did not put that on here. I was told that there's a possibility that the chamber will not be partnering with the fort to plan the 4th of July festivities this year. I'm waiting for the final confirmation of such, but in the event that this will be hosted solely by the fort, and really regardless, we need help pulling this off. The board authorized an open gate for this event last month, and we want to have a wonderful event. So if anybody's interested in helping out with the portions of the 4th of July festivities that we need to plan, please let us know. Pick your board member that you want to talk to, or send Mr. Garcia an email, or Ms. Rodriguez, and we'll get you down on that committee. Additional announcements, there's a lot. We've got some open jobs here on the fort, and you can read them up there. Security officer, swim park attendants. Please take a look at those jobs. There may be volunteer opportunities to assist at the swim park shack, taking money and validating members. So if you're interested in doing that and spending some time up there, please contact Mr. Garcia. We can definitely use the support. Is it air conditioned? I don't even know. That little shack? Okay, so it's air conditioned, so you won't have to sweat too much. As Mr. Garcia indicated during his report, we're going to be taking bids for the following areas: the deer trapping program, the roof repairs, the motel door installation. So please spread the word on that. He's made himself available the 28th and 29th to go over the roofing needs that we have. And we will put out a dispatch that is going to say exactly what we're taking bids for, and we're going to put a suspense. So if there are business people who are listening to this meeting today, please inquire with the office on what that suspense will be, because once we close the bidding, we will go into discussion on which way we're going to proceed. And we will vote on that, obviously, in open session. We would also like to remind members that if you're having any challenges paying your assessments, please see the admin office to get on a payment plan. By law, you're authorized that ability to do that, so please utilize that if you need it. We would like to also remind members that you as a member do not have the authority to open the gate to the public for free access. If you're hosting an event at your home, you need to provide security with a list of your guests. Otherwise, you're not going to be permitted onto the fort. So, board member contact information is up. Also, the fort is going to be soon announcing a Facebook group that is solely for members, so that we can disseminate information via Facebook. We have a fan Facebook page that people can like. If you're a tourist, it's great for you to like that page, and it's great to share images on that page. But there is certain information, such as our financial information, for example, that is information solely for members, and we want to utilize that private Facebook group to get that information out to members, so that we're not crossing the streams between a tourist page and then something private for members. So we'll send a dispatch out with that information as well. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact the director of your choice, and our contact information is above. Are there any announcements that I missed?
The golf end of the month is at 10:30 this month. We're going to try that so our friends at Rock Springs can drive over on that day instead of having it at 9. Also, there's been a concern about the calendar. The calendar is in the front office for people who does not have email. They will be put at the security gate, and they're also at the RV park. So anybody that needs a calendar of what is going on at the security gate, at the RV park, and at the front office, these may be picked up for your information.
Perfect. Anything else? Did I miss any announcements? Okay, great. So at this time, I'm going to entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn to executive session.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion to adjourn to executive session, and we will be discussing legal matters and contract matters. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Okay. This meeting is adjourned to executive session at 10:48. We will be right back. I call this meeting back to order at 11:35. The board met in executive session, and we discussed some legal matters and contract matters, as well as sale of some property. And we have nothing that we need to vote on, so that is great. Do I have a motion to adjourn the regular board meeting?
I will make that motion that we go ahead and adjourn.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay. Before we vote, the next regular board meeting is June 19th. Sorry that I did not say that. At 9:30 a.m. in the boardroom, and the director on call for this month is Mr. William Link. His backup is Ms. Debbie Isaacs. So I do have a motion on the floor to adjourn the meeting in a second. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Okay, meeting is adjourned at 11:36.
He's really hoping you really go out.
Are you keeping your timer in the other room?
No, I kept it in my bag. We did it. We're going to do that next month.